My parents secretly used my rent to pay their mortgage and fund my brother. When he broke my mechanic tools, I left and let foreclosure ruin them. Within a big industrial hub, I am employed as a heavy-duty diesel mechanic. I am 26 years old. Since I was 18 years old, I have been engaging in this activity. As an apprentice, I was responsible for sweeping shop floors and sorting bolt bins. I worked my way up via sheer, unadulterated grit, and I started at the very bottom. The fact that I am extraordinarily skilled at what I do is not something I am attempting to convey in any way. My position at one of the most prominent commercial shops in the state is that of the lead diagnostic technician. When the other mechanics are all scratching their heads over a gigantic Cummins ISX-15 engine that is throwing ghost codes, I am the one that they call in to help them diagnose the problem. If I were blindfolded, I would be able to disassemble a commercial transmission and then rebuild it. I am able to make a lot of money, and I put in a lot of effort to do it. Nevertheless, my mother Sarah, 51 years old, and my father Robert, 55 years old, consider me to be unemployed. The appearance of my parents is a major concern for them. They had this huge and magnificent plan for my life. I was meant to attend a famous university, acquire a cushy white-collar career in finance or law, wear a suit every day, and be their ultimate trophy to show around their country club pals. All of these things were supposed to happen. You would have thought I was joining a cult if I had informed them that I was going to trade school to work on semi-trucks when I told them that I was going to do so when I was 18 years old. It wasn't simply that the disappointment was noticeable, it was stifling the feeling. They glanced at my hands, which were coated with oil, as if I were carrying a plague virus. Then there is my younger brother, Tyler, who is 21 years old presently. Tyler is the character that would be created in a laboratory if you were to construct the most stereotypical, entitled, main character syndrome afflicted child of Generation Z. Tyler is a self-proclaimed content creator and influencer. In reality, he plays video games in his underwear until 3 o'clock in the morning and wakes up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. While I am out there busting my back in heat that is 100 degrees, crawling under Peterbilts that weigh 80,000 pounds, and coming home smelling like diesel fuel and sweat, Tyler is finding his truth. When I was 22, I was making a good living and had said that I was planning to move out. At that moment, my parents went into a panic. They sat me down and gave me this enormous speech that was designed to manipulate my emotions. They told me that family needs to stick together in this economy and that they liked having me around. I was such an idiot that I believed them. When that happened, the trap closed with a snap. When I was an adult who was working, they informed me that I was required to pay rent. To my mind, that was plenty. Each month, I committed to paying $1,200. Still, Tyler? There is no payment made by Tyler at all. No single dime was spent. It was always their excuse that Tyler was focusing on his education and his brand. His education consists of attending one online community college class per semester, which my parents pay for, and he frequently fails because he is too busy screaming into a microphone on Twitch. His brand is his internet presence. I would want to build a picture of a typical day in our household since an awareness of the background is essential in order to comprehend the overwhelming level of disrespect that I was subjected to. At 4:30 inches the morning, my alarm goes off. I arrive at the store at 6 o'clock in the morning. I will spend the next 10 to 12 hours engaging in backbreaking physical labor, interacting with irate truck drivers, attempting to meet unattainable schedules, and operating unsafe machinery. When I go home, I am completely worn out, and my muscles are screaming. In the meanwhile, Tyler gets out of bed whenever his body wakes up through its own natural process. Her mother is responsible for preparing his breakfast, lunch, laundry, and vacuuming his room. She also makes his breakfast. The crusts of his sandwiches are almost completely scraped off by her. It is as if he is staying at a resort that provides all-inclusive services and has a dedicated concierge. When I get home from a 1-2 hour shift, I'm lucky if there are any leftovers in the refrigerator to make dinner for myself. It is because my mother claims that she didn't know if I'd be home in time that she purposefully did not prepare enough food for me that I have to make a stop at a drive-through restaurant 50% of the time. The inconsistency of the criteria was astounding. The dishes would be quietly washed by my mother if Tyler were to leave a stack of dirty dishes in the sink for 3 days. When Tyler desired a new graphics card for his personal computer, my parents immediately purchased it for him. If I left even a single water glass on the counter before racing out to work, my father would send me a big group text message accusing me of disrespecting the sanctity of the household. As I was in the process of purchasing sophisticated diagnostic tools for my actual, paying work, my father laughed and remarked, "You make plenty of money, you can fund your own hobbies." Hobbies are something that I enjoy doing in my spare time. He described my line of work as a hobby. However, the itemization was the most terrible part of the process. Approximately 2 years ago, my parents came to the conclusion that the $1,200 that I paid in rent would only cover access to my bedroom and bathroom. I really wish I was joking when I said that everything else was an add-on fee. For the privilege of parking my truck in our driveway, They assessed a parking fee of $75 per month at my expense. The fact that I cleaned my oily work clothes in the washing machine resulted in a utility surcharge of $50 being assessed to me. In exchange for garage storage for a single toolbox that I maintained at home for side jobs, they charged me $40 each month. What about the food? Wow! The meal is incredible. A whiteboard with a tally system was practically affixed to the exterior of the refrigerator by my mother. Every time I drank a glass of milk, I was required to make a note of it. To send me a bill at the end of the week, she would send me a text message that read, $4.50 for milk, $3 for eggs, and $6 for deli meat. While this was going on, my mother was taking Tyler to Whole Foods twice a week because he had viewed a TikTok and made the decision to follow a rigorous organic, gluten-free, pescatarian diet by watching the video. He had an entire pantry cabinet that was specifically designated for his food and was labeled Tyler's food, do not touch. There was a time when I arrived home hungry and grabbed one of his organic protein bars. My father practically yelled at me for stealing from my brother, and then he gave me a $10 fine. Compared to the financial drain, the psychological warfare was much more detrimental. Tyler's life was nothing more than a highlight reel, and every family dinner was a highlight reel. Tyler got a new subscriber today. Tyler is really refining his brand. I could practically repair a complete commercial engine, save a logistics firm tens of thousands of dollars, and win a large bonus from my boss, and my folks would just nod dismissively. That's nice, Liam. Make sure you don't track oil onto the carpet. Tyler, tell us more about your YouTube thumbnail strategies. Only one day in particular encapsulated the entirety of my time spent at that place. A grueling 16-hour workday had just come to an end for me. It was imperative that I complete a complicated gearbox rebuild on a truck that cost $250,000 and needed to be on the road by morning. The customer was so pleased with my work that he gave me a cash tip of $500 and called my supervisor to compliment me. Oh, I was overjoyed. I arrived home around 9 o'clock at night, fatigued but immensely proud, and ready to tell everyone about the news. As I entered the house, I noticed that it was decked out with streamers and balloons when I arrived. It was a lavish Italian restaurant that had provided a large meal that had been catered. My chest tightened up for a fraction of a second. It occurred to me that perhaps, just possibly, they were commemorating the promotion to lead tech that I had received earlier in that single month. No way. On Twitch, Tyler had acquired a total of 500 followers. The pals he had made through online gaming were invited over by my dad. As a present, my father had purchased a Shure microphone that cost $400 for him. My mother did not even bother to inquire about my day as I got in the door. She only glanced at my work boots and said, "Liam, please stay in the kitchen, you're going to ruin the aesthetic of the party. Oh, and by the way, we need you to pay your rent a week early this month." We had to upgrade the internet package to fiber optic, so Tyler's stream doesn't lag. The realization that I was nothing more than an ATM to these individuals came to me as I stood there staring at them. My mouth, however, remained silent. I reassured myself that it was only a temporary situation. I was putting money aside in order to purchase my own home. All I needed to do was put up with it for a little bit longer. Next, the occurrence took place. On that fateful evening, our family was irreparably damaged. With a flushed face, my father hurriedly emerged from the bathroom wearing his bathrobe. Following closely after him was my mother, who appeared to be in a state of complete and utter terror. The authoritative father voice that my father used to employ when I was a child used to terrify me. "Liam, what is the meaning of this?" my father asked. There was no longer any success. My height was greater than his, and my width was greater than his. I was the sole provider for his life. After putting the mattress down in the hallway, I turned around to face all of them. "I'm moving out, today. You can't just leave," my mother yelled, her voice breaking as she stressed the point. "We are a family. You have responsibilities to this household. You can't just abandon us without notice." Laughing, I asked, "Notice?" The sound was icy and acrid in nature. In order to get a piece of folded paper, I reached into my back pocket and pulled it out. I was using my own spreadsheet. Let's talk about responsibilities. Following the unfolding of the paper, I began reading it out loud, and my voice reverberated across the corridor. $57,600 in rent, $3,600 to park my own vehicle in the driveway. $2,400 to wash the clothes I wear to the job that pays for this house. $16,000 in itemized grocery bills. A grand total of over $81,000. My father's face turned from being a horrible shade of milky white to a reddish of anger. It was a forceful swallow. "And the best part," I said, locking eyes with my dad, "is that I know exactly what your mortgage payment is. $1,198.50. You haven't paid a dime for this house in 4 years." "I have." While covering her mouth, my mother let out a gasp. In a state of pure disorientation, Tyler did nothing except stand there, staring back and forth between us. "You hacked my bank account?" my father stutteringly exclaimed, attempting to get the upper hand in the situation. I used the iPad you begged me to set up for you. I responded. But that's irrelevant. What is relevant is that I am no longer your ATM. I am no longer funding Tyler's pathetic, useless existence. I am out. The legal envelope was extracted from the pocket I was using to reach into my other pocket. After that, I rammed it firmly into Tyler's chest. He stumbled backwards and grabbed it without thinking about it. That is a formal demand letter for the $4,500 worth of tools you and your drunken frat boy friends destroyed. You have exactly 30 days to pay me in full, or I am taking you to small claims court. I have photos, I have receipts, and I have text messages from your friends admitting to it. In fact, Tyler began to shake as soon as he opened the envelope and saw the legal letterhead. He whimpered to his mother, "Mom, he's suing me," while looking at her as if he were a young child who had dropped his ice cream. A flood of sobs erupted from my mother. "Liam, please, you can't do this. The mortgage is due tomorrow. We don't have the funds. We need your transfer." Then I guess Tyler better get a job, I said to myself. Maybe he can stream himself flipping burgers. Following the removal of my mattress, I exited the house through the front door, loaded it into the U-Haul, and then drove away. There was complete and utter silence for the first few hours. Probably, they were in a state of shock. On the other hand, the SMS messages started at 2 p.m. My experience was that it was the most spectacular meltdown I had ever seen. In my brand new, peaceful apartment, I was sitting on the couch with a beer in my hand and watching the screen of my phone light up. 2:15 p.m. Father, you need to turn that truck around right now. This is unacceptable. Dad, we can negotiate the rent, come home. It is 2:30 inches the afternoon. 3 p.m. Mother, Liam, please answer. I am having a panic attack. We checked the account, the mortgage is going to bounce. 3:45 p.m. Tyler says, bro, please don't sue me, I don't have $4,500. Dad said he won't pay for it. Dad, you ungrateful brat, after everything we did for you. The conversation took place at 4:30 p.m. 5:15 p.m. Mother, please, Liam, just pay this month, just this 1 month so we can figure things out. You are a psycho who is ruining our family over some stupid wrenches, Tyler said at 6 o'clock in the evening. I did not return even a single one of them. I just took screenshots of everything, saved them to a cloud drive, and then placed an order for a big pizza that I did not have to detail on a whiteboard. It has been 3 months since I moved out, and the complete and utter destruction that has taken place in my family is almost impossible to come to terms with. The event would have appeared to me as a movie if I hadn't witnessed it firsthand. The fact that they failed to make their initial payment on their mortgage was the impetus that caused their entire set of financial plans to collapse. In order to pay for the house, my parents had been living solely off of my income. As a result, they had been using their own earnings to pay off their credit cards to the maximum limit, purchase expensive automobiles, and fund their lifestyle. It didn't take long for the dominoes to fall once my $1,200 stopped pouring in. When it first started, the auto drafts began to bounce. They were so busy trying to pay off the mortgage that their accounts became overdrawn as a result of their hurry. During the middle of a Twitch stream that was taking place on a Friday night, Tyler's premium fiber optic internet connection was disconnected. My cousin, who continues to communicate with me, claims that Tyler practically had a meltdown on video, as seen by his screaming and wailing, just before the feed went blank. His influencer career came to an end at that very moment. After that, the subscriptions arrived. Because she did not make her payments, my mother's membership to the country club was terminated. As a result of my father becoming 3 months behind on his payments, the luxury SUV that he owned was taken away from him in the middle of the night. My cousin, however, provided me with the most incredible twist, which was the icing on the cake for this wonderful revenge Sunday. This occurred a few weeks ago. It has always been a mystery to me how Tyler was able to amass a few thousand followers despite the fact that his content was complete and utter crap. During a family barbecue, my cousin managed to get my father drunk, and then the truth was revealed. An audience was not being built up in a natural way by Tyler. A Russian click farm was being paid by my parents to artificially inflate Tyler's follower count and viewer counts. My parents had been surreptitiously stealing $400 out of my rent money every single month in order to pay for this click farm. Quite literally, they were purchasing bogus bots in order to bolster his ego in the expectation that he would go viral and become a millionaire. As soon as my money stopped coming in, the bot farm stopped receiving payments. Over the course of a single night, Tyler's Twitch channel went from having 2,500 viewers to having a mere 12 viewers. He was in utter disbelief. During the course of 3 days, he was confined to his room. Hunger, however, is a potent driver of behavior. Due to the fact that my parents were constantly arguing with each other about money and that there was no money for Whole Foods, Tyler was compelled to do something that was unthinkable. He found a job. At the moment, my brother, who is 21 years old, is wearing an orange apron and pushing heavy lumber carts in the parking lot of a local Home Depot. He is entitled, eats organic food, and is perceived as an influential person. His salary is the minimum wage. If my cousin is to be believed, Tyler was given a written warning during his first week of work for crying in the break room after a contractor shouted at him for loading drywall at an excessively sluggish rate. My friend, you have arrived in the real world. Regarding the tools, I made sure to follow through. A case was submitted to the Court of Small Claims by me. It is said that the day when Tyler was served with the official court summons by a county sheriff at the lumber desk of Home Depot became famous. When he called me, he was crying and pleading with me to stop. I informed him that I would do it as soon as the sum of $4,500 was deposited into my bank account. It turned out that my parents had to sell my mother's jewelry and Tyler's gaming computer, which was worth $3,000, in order to pay me off. This was done so that Tyler would not have a judgment on his record. The house would not be able to be saved if my parents did not have my money. It has been 1 month since they put it up for sale. They were in such a desperate situation that they were forced to sell it for a price that was significantly lower than the market value. For the sake of covering their enormous obligations, the bank stole practically all of the equity. In preparation for their transfer into a tiny apartment on the shady side of town with 2 bedrooms, they are already packing their belongings. It is once again necessary for Tyler to share a bathroom with my parents. In order to keep my family afloat, my mother was forced to find work as a receptionist at a dental office, and my father is working extra hours just to make ends meet. Following the depletion of their financial resources, their friends from the country club completely abandoned. What about me? My life has never been more enjoyable. I received my official promotion to shop foreman the week before last. I was given a significant increase in pay, a company truck, and my very own office. The noise level in my apartment is low, my tools are secure, and my refrigerator is stuffed with food that I do not have to take responsibility for. In the past day, my father sent me a text message. Liam, we are moving into the apartment this weekend. It's going to be very tight. We are family. We should forgive and forget. We would love to come see your new place. Maybe discuss you helping Tyler with a down payment on a car since he's working so hard now. When I finished reading the text, I couldn't help but laugh out loud, and I finally did what I ought to have done 4 years ago. His number was blocked by me.